When people are tired and stressed and overwhelmed, busy, and worn down by constant change, self-protective behaviours emerge. So these pressures can come from the outside world. They can come from your workplace, deadlines to meet, budgets to meet, other employees, different processes to change, competitors, constant upgrading of technology and upgrading of skills, dealing with governments and different difficult customers. It can come from a job or a health loss or some sort of with yourself or your family. You have experienced some trauma as a child, or maybe some bullying in high school, or some other trauma or event in your life from the world outside. There could be a social or political context in which the pressure of the world and the way the world is impacting on our ability to enjoy ourselves and be productive in the world. It can come from ethical dilemmas and social contexts. It can come from other people. A whole bunch of outside stuff can impact on us and make us feel stressed and anxious and overwhelmed with the world. But it can also come from inside us as well. Our own self-image, our own fears and doubts, our own judgments, blame and guilt about what's right and what's wrong. We can feel disconnected or lonely, isolated from people in the world around us and not really connecting as well as we think we should. Or perhaps we've got some personal truths that we don't really quite ready to admit. Maybe we're a bit heavier than we should be, or maybe we drink more than we probably should, or maybe we've got a belief system or a belief structure that we probably should update and revisit because it's not quite working for us as well as it may have done in the past. Or it could be just pure chemistry and biology. You could have a brain that's predisposed to anxiety or a brain that's predisposed to depression. There's a whole range of factors. And like most things in life, it's this combination of factors that contributes to what it actually feels like to be you and to be as productive as you are in the world. When these stressors arise or impact on your brain, self-protective behaviours emerge. Your brain is very, very old, or some parts of your brain are very, very old, and were built and evolved long time before any Homo sapien kind of structures in the world, long before there were other drivers on the road, long before there were meeting deadlines and banking and governments to deal with. And so it's quite blunt. And when these self-protective behaviours emerge, these freeze, flee and fight behaviours, we manifest some reasonably predictable behaviours. Those behaviours, you'll see, are in workplaces, things like us and them. When we're in love and everything's going well, it's all we, and then when we're arguing, it's all them and me. She said, he said. It becomes our definition of our in-group becomes smaller and smaller and smaller when we're stressed. And you see this in politics in the last 12 months enormously. We become more closed and resistant. We're more likely to say no first and then think about what that means or the question afterwards. We become negative and defensive in our communication. So we write emails that are short and not particularly polite. We respond with a bluntness that we wouldn't normally respond with. We snap at our friends and family. We're cranky with people we care about the most. We at times become quiet and just obstinate and don't speak. So we don't say what we should say in a meeting because it's easier not to. We don't want to get in a fight about it. These behaviours, we see them all the time in our work colleagues and with our family members, and we also should see them in ourselves when we're stressed. We run away, we avoid, we become all or nothing. There's no grey area. Now the problem is when these quite reasonable avoidant behaviours emerge when there's a moment of acute stress, if we have stress ongoing and these behaviours become part of our way of being, they habituate, they become a habit. And when we become a person who is more closed, a person who is more negative, and a person who is not fun to be, or not fun to be around, it becomes your way of being, and you become trapped by this negative, closed, anxious, overwhelmed sense of being. And then what happens is you infect everyone around you, or they infect everyone around you. Everyone knows a workplace where someone becomes really difficult to be partner with or be around. So some teams just can't work together anymore. They can't be in the same room without arguments. They're snapping all the time. constant political management for everything you say. You've got to be careful what you say, otherwise someone's going to get cranky about it. All change in the workplace is slower. Anything you want to initiate and propose, you've got to position in a certain way so that it gets across the line from the obstinate people who are behaving in this way as a consequence of their stress and their habituated stress and their habituated way of dealing with stress. I should be more accurate. You end up with high turnover, and it costs your organisation and the family unit enormously. So then what happens? Well, then we get, usually in commercial space, a misdiagnosis and symptom relief. So you're short and cranky, or the person is short and cranky and aggressive in their communication, they get sent to a communication skills course. They can't get through their work and they procrastinate the uncomfortable, they get sent a time management course. It's symptom relief. Or they end up in a solemn meeting with HR and are performance managed until ultimately they leave or people around them leave. Or if it's a family context, you end up in the family law court talking to a family lawyer. Either way, it's a symptom, addressing a symptom, not the cause. And this misses the best opportunity, in my view, for long-term change. What if you could make the human being themselves more able and more capable of dealing with the stressors of the world? So they don't affect them as much. They're clearer and calmer more of the time, ongoing, more open, more flexible. The cost of this missed opportunity is huge. We know this in commercial terms, but in terms of staff turnover and absenteeism and these sorts of things. But there is a bigger cost as well to missed opportunities, to seeing opportunities. One client example I have, as a consequence of our work, suggested his CEO make a phone call. They thought they had lost a $25 million tender. And while they're all kicking the ground and swearing at the other organisation for winning it and how unfair the world is, my client suggested a phone call. The CEO made that phone call, and as a consequence of that, they've been able to recover a $10 million portion of that project. Emotional intelligence has got an enormous return on investment for organisations, but more importantly for the people involved. So how do I help? Well, I'm a bit like a personal trainer for mental fitness. I help grow a brain that's more open and more connected and more calm and more authentic. I show you how to change the way you think, how to progressively and persistently build a way of being that is more open and less closed, that's more free from blame and guilt and fear and judgment. If you are experiencing or seeing the avoidant behaviour, a list like this where people are behaving in this way or you are behaving in this way, and you want to be a bit more like this, where you are more open, more calm, more interconnected, if you'd rather this list of behavioural traits to this one, then I can show you how to do that. Now, typically, that would be one-on-one coaching with execs or individuals, and that ends up costing a fair bit of dough, great return on investment, but it does preclude a lot of people from accessing it. And what I've done over the last 12 months is distilled my methodology, which is a neuropsychotherapeutic approach, which is teaching you how the brain works, how you engage with the world, and giving you some core ideas about how to improve the way your brain operates so that you become the things we're talking about here. I've distilled it into an online program I call my Think Well program online, how to be more clear, more calm and connected. If you want to dial down your stress and your feeling of overwhelm and you want to improve what it feels like to be you, then this program might just be for you. And if you're an employer and you want your organisational culture to be a successive cycle of growth and openness without blame or guilt or fear or judgment, then this program could be really beneficial for you as well. Thanks.